Hello, welcome to Carly Stanzas. I'm going to share a poem with you guys I wrote called God Favored the Lyre Player. And I hope you enjoy, and I'll share the reason after I read the poem as to why I wrote it. And I hope it inspires you. The lyre player, the poet, the giant slayer. He was on a lion hunt, he was the runt. But the Lord called him out. He was also a sinner. His ways weren't perfect, but his faith never grew thinner. He calls who he will call. I want the favor of the Lord. How can I tap into his heart? Heaven and earth will fade, but your word will stick. Space garment will be decayed. I'm not afraid. My path is laid. I'm going to please Papa. Thank you for your favor, Lord. Have you not heard? He will answer if you knock. Rains come and go, snow plows the mountains, but your spirit, the word, moves to and fro. Devastation is everywhere, but your staff comforts me. Comfort me with your many hand of blessings. So there's some scriptures in here too, and this is from my book, Life Stanza Selected Poems. It's on Amazon and on online at Barnes and Noble. So I hope you check it out. It's a labor of love, and I'm so thankful to share it with the world. But back to the poem. The poem is about King David in the Bible, and it's an interesting story actually of how it came about. It was in 2017 in Houston, in August of 2017 in Houston, and we had the Hurricane Harvey, and thank goodness I was fine. I think I lost electricity for, I didn't lose electricity at all, but I lost water for a few days. But, I suffer from a lot of anxiety. I hate storms. I hate the unpredictability of it all. And I know some people had to be rescued and, evacuate and stuff, their homes. So I'm very grateful that I didn't have to. There's no damage to my home, but it still causes a lot of anxiety. So I just was in my dad's work office in his study, and during the storm, because there was a storm that lasted 7 days straight. We got 50 inches of rain in 7 days, and it just was nonstop. We couldn't leave the house. It was like a lockdown of 7 days, like a COVID lockdown for 7 days, and I hate not being able to get out and be places, So, anyways, I was in my dad's work area with this nice leather couch he has, and not couch, a chair, and we have some old books from the house where I grew up in, and it's not necessarily his book, but it had it's a family book, but it had just an encyclopedia of famous people, a lot of people from the Bible and stuff. Had King David, and I was reading it, and I was like, oh, this is interesting, that's so cool. I was just reminded about how he was a shepherd boy, and then he did great things for God, and it was a kid's version, so they talk about Bathsheba and stuff like that, but it just talked about how he used music. The Psalms are like poetry, and and I just thought about how he was probably very nervous too to become king. When he was called by the prophets that he would become king by I'm sorry, the name escapes me. Samuel, I think, told him that he was going to become king, and he was like the run of the family, and even his father was like, we don't have any more sons except for the one that's out there attending the sheep. And nobody, the brothers and the father, didn't expect that it would be David, that would be anointed with oil to become the king of Israel. And so sometimes I feel unworthy, and I feel like I just have a long road ahead of me, and Harvey was such a setback for me in terms of anxiety and wanting to do things. you know, like I said, when devastation happens like that, I get anxious really easily, and it kind of slows my roll, you know. So, anyways, I wrote this poem in the middle of that Hurricane Harvey, and it just really inspired me thinking about the word and thinking about favor. And yeah, and what's cool about this book too is it has it shows you where the scripture references are. So if you want to look up some of these scriptures, we can go through them now. Yeah, let's see. Let me find that poem again. Yeah, right here. So one scripture is, heaven and earth will fade, but your word will stick. Space garment will be decayed. So, but your word will stick comes from if you want to look it up, it comes from Matthew 24:35, and then space garment will be decayed, kind of like, you know, eventually the space and the ferment will, because science actually proves the scripture by saying that the earth is actually this space, I mean, is actually expanding. And you know, we know eventually Jesus will come back and create a new heaven and new earth, but that comes from Psalm 102, 25 through 26. And the other scripture is, have you not heard, he will knock, he will answer if you knock. And that comes from 14, I'm sorry, Matthew 7 through 8. And then the last, I mean, not every poem of mine has this many scriptures, but I just was really in the Word that day. And rains come and go, snow plows the mountains, but your spirit, the Word, moves to and fro. And that comes from 2 Chronicles 16, verse 9. And but your staff comforts me comes from Psalms 23, 4. And all the other stuff is my own words, but I don't know. I just think it's important and cool to incorporate all these different scriptures, you know, into a poem. So let me know if you like that. And yeah, I think it's really interesting and important to share with you guys, you know, what the poem means to me and why I wrote it and stuff like that. And so, you know, obviously, you know, Harvey's long gone, but I've grown from it. And you know, COVID's been kind of hard for me too, but I've grown from it. And I think I wrote some of my best poems during COVID, you know, during the lockdown. So anyways, take care and God bless.